Europa Station was one of the busiest trading hubs in space. Built around the icy moon of Jupiter, it was full of people, machines, and noise. Lights blinked, ships docked, and workers moved from one end to another every second. But in one quiet corner, there was a small pizza shop called Ray's Heat Pie. It wasn't fancy, but it was warm and smelled like melted cheese and baked dough. Inside the shop, an old man named Mr. Bram sat alone at a corner table. He wore a plain gray coat and a brown cap. Most people didn't know who he was. If they had known, they would have been surprised. Bram was one of the richest people in this part of the solar system. But he didn't like attention. He came here often, not for the pizza, but for the silence. The smell reminded him of Earth. Bram had not been to Earth in over 60 years. He was born there before the Great Exodus, when humans left the planet because of climate collapse and wars. Now Earth was just a memory, lost in time and space. As he sipped his warm tea, the shop's door opened with a soft beep. A young girl stepped in. She looked no older than 12. Her shoes were old, and her coat had patches. Her name was Mila, though Bram didn't know that yet. She walked up to the counter and looked at the menu. Her eyes stayed on the cheapest item, a single slice of plain cheese pizza for 6 credits. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a few coins. She counted them once, twice. But there were only 4 credits. "Can I get just half a slice?" she asked the man at the counter. The worker shook his head. "Sorry, no half slices." Mila looked down. She turned to leave. Mr. Bram, watching quietly, stood up and walked to the counter. "Give her a full slice, I'll pay." Mila looked up at him in surprise. "Sir, you don't have to." "I know," Bram said simply. He handed the worker a card. "Add a cup of warm juice, too." Mila held the warm slice in both hands, as if it were gold. "Thank you, really," she said. Then she paused. She sniffed the air near him and said something that made Bram freeze. "You smell like Earth." He blinked. "What did you say?" I don't know. When I stood near you, I smelled something, like ... Grass, rain, soil. It felt real." Bram felt something stir in his chest. He hadn't heard those words in decades. No one talked about Earth anymore. Most people on Europa Station were born in space. They only knew metal walls and artificial air. How could a girl like this recognize a smell from a world she had never seen? "What's your name?" he asked. "Mila." "Have you been to Earth?" She shook her head. "No. I was born here. Never left the station." "Then how do you know what Earth smells like?" "I don't," she said. "But I dream about it. Almost every night. A big sky, green hills, soft wind. There's a voice too. It keeps saying, 'Come home.' I don't know why." "Mister." Bram felt a chill go down his spine. He looked at Mila closely. Her eyes were calm but deep, like old water. There was something strange, something rare about this child. "Would you like to sit for a moment?" he asked. Mila nodded. They sat across from each other. Mila ate the pizza slowly, carefully, like it was a treasure. Bram watched in silence. He finally spoke. "Most people forget Earth. Some don't even believe it was real. They say it was just a myth." "It's real," Mila said firmly. "How?" "Do you know?" "I don't know how, I just do." Bram looked at the small plant in a jar on the table. It was fake, like most things here. But deep in his room, he had one real plant, one of the last living pieces of Earth. He hadn't shown it to anyone in years. He made a decision. "Would you like to see something special, Mila?" She looked up. "What is it?" "A piece of Earth, a real one." Mila's eyes grew wide. She nodded. Bram stood and offered her a hand. Together, they left the pizza shop. As they walked down the dim corridors of Europa Station, Mila asked softly, "Why did you help me?" "Because you reminded me of something I lost a long time ago." "What was it?" Bram smiled gently. Hope. The walk to Mr. Bram's room was long and quiet. Europa Station was built like a maze, with twisting metal halls and blinking lights. People passed by without noticing them, just two figures among thousands. Mila walked beside Bram, holding her cup of warm juice, wondering what he meant by a piece of earth. They reached a quiet sector, far from the busy areas. The walls were older here, with dull lights and faded signs. Bram stopped in front of a heavy metal door. He placed his palm on the scanner. The door unlocked with a soft click. "Come in," he said. Mila stepped inside. The room was large but filled with old things, books, tools, screens, and small machines covered with dust. Everything looked like it belonged to another time. In the middle of the room was a glass box, glowing faintly. Mila walked closer. Inside the box was a small green plant, standing in dark brown soil. Her eyes widened. "Is that real?" "Yes," Bram said softly. "It's called a fern. This one is over 70 years old. I brought it from Earth when I was still young." Mila leaned close to the glass. She didn't touch it, but her face lit up with wonder. "It's beautiful." Bram watched her. Many people had visited his home before: engineers, traders, even reporters. But none of them had reacted like Mila. Most didn't care about a plant. But this girl, she looked at it like it was alive in more than just one way. Suddenly, Mila turned to a corner of the room where an old device sat flat, black, and silent. It looked like a small box with metal edges. She walked straight to it as if she knew it. "What's this?" she asked. Bram walked over, surprised. "That's an old data archive. My wife used to work on it. I haven't turned it on in 50 years. Mila placed her hand on the surface. The moment her skin touched the cold metal, the device beeped. A soft blue light blinked on. Bram's eyes widened. "That's not possible," he said. The machine came to life. A small screen lit up with a message. "Code verified. Welcome, Aaron." Bram gasped. Aaron was my wife's name. Mila looked confused. "I didn't mean to do anything. It just felt right." The screen changed, and an old star map appeared. It showed a route through uncharted space. Bram hadn't seen it in years. It was hidden, locked with a special code that only Aaron could open. "How did you unlock it?" he asked. "I don't know," Mila whispered. "But this map, I've seen it before, in my dreams." Bram sat down slowly. He felt like the air had left the room. His heart was beating faster than it had in years. "My wife created this map before she passed away. She said Earth would be forgotten one day. So she saved the true path hidden from the system, hidden from the world. Only a few knew about it. And now you've opened it." Mila sat beside him. "Do you think Earth is still out there?" Bram looked at the plant. Maybe it's not dead. Maybe it's just waiting." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Mila said, "Every night I dream about green trees and blue sky. Sometimes I hear birds. I don't know what birds are, but I can hear them. And then there's a voice. It says, 'Come home.' I never told anyone because I thought they'd laugh at me." "I believe you," Bram said, "because I used to hear that voice too. Long ago." Mila looked up. "What happened?" "I got old. I stopped listening. There was a knock at the door." Bram stood up carefully and opened it. A small droid rolled in. It was silver, with round eyes and soft movements. "This is Kello," Bram said. "My helper and friend." The droid beeped and said in a soft voice, "Hello, Mila." "Hi," she smiled. Kello scanned the room. "Sir, the station records show a power signal from the old archive. That might alert the authority." Bram nodded. "We need to be careful." Mila looked worried. "Did I do something wrong?" "No, not at all," Bram said. "But the station authority doesn't like secrets, especially ones about Earth." He turned to Kello. "We need to copy this map and hide it. And we need to prepare the ship. Kello beeped again. Understood. Mila stood up. What ship? Bram smiled. An old one. Hidden deep in the docks. It hasn't flown in years, but it still works. Are we going to Earth? Bram looked at her seriously. Do you want to go? Mila nodded. Yes, more than anything. Bram placed a hand on her shoulder. Then we'll go together. Outside the window, Europa's icy surface glowed under Jupiter's light. Inside the room, two people from different worlds, one old, one young, shared the same dream. The smell of soil still lingered in the air. The next morning, the station lights shifted from soft blue to daylight white. Europa Station's artificial sun had risen. But inside Mr. Bram's room, the world felt different. Something had changed. Mila stood near the glowing map, her eyes fixed on the blinking lights. It wasn't just a map, it was a secret, hidden from the galaxy for over 50 years. The path it showed twisted through black zones, uncharted areas, and silent stars. At the end of it was a single word: origin. She looked at Bram. Is that Earth? He nodded. That's what my wife believed. The real coordinates were erased from public systems during the Exodus, but Aaron made a backup. She believed Earth would be needed again one day. Mila stepped back from the screen. Why did they hide it? Bram sat down in his chair. After the disasters on Earth, the leaders wanted a clean start. They told people it was gone dead, poisoned, forgotten. But Aaron knew the planet could heal, she said. The planet is alive, it just needs time. One day, it will call us back, Mila whispered. And now it's calling me. Kello, the silver droid, rolled closer. Sir, we have a problem. Last night, the archive signal was detected by the outer sensors. Station authority sent a silent scan to the sector. Bram frowned. That means they're watching us. Mila looked scared. What do we do? We move fast, Bram said. It's time we visit the ship. They left the room through a back passage, guided by Kello. Mila followed quietly, her heart beating faster. The halls were older here, almost forgotten. Pipes ran along the walls, and dust floated in the air. After 20 minutes of walking, they reached a sealed door with a handprint scanner. Bram placed his palm on it. Identity confirmed. Welcome, Mr. Bram. The door opened with a hiss. Inside was a large docking bay, dark and cold. A ship stood. In the center, half covered with a gray tarp. It was smooth and round, like a silver beetle. Its name was written in old-style letters, Homeward. Mila stepped forward. It looks ... alive. It should be, Bram said. I built it myself. With help from Aaron and Kello. It hasn't flown in 20 years, but it was built too. Last, they entered the ship through a small ramp. Inside, the lights slowly came on. The main control room had 2 seats, lots of buttons, and a round screen in the center. It wasn't shiny like the new ships, but it felt warm and real. This is where we'll travel, Bram said. If we're careful, we can leave without alerting the station. Kello beeped. We'll need a power check, fuel scan, and life support test. Start it now, Bram ordered. We leave in 3 days. Mila walked around the control room. Her fingers gently touched the buttons. She didn't know how, but she understood some of them, like she had done this before in another life. She looked at Bram. Why me? Why now? Bram didn't answer. Right away, he looked at her with calm eyes. I don't know. But Aaron believed someone would come. Someone who could open the archive. Someone who could feel Earth calling. I think that someone is you. But I'm just a girl, she said. You're not just anything, Bram replied. You're human, and maybe more than that. They worked for the next few hours. Bram checked the engines. Kello ran tests. Mila cleaned the seats and windows with soft cloths. She didn't know much about machines, but she wanted to help. That night, back in Bram's room, they shared a quiet meal. Simple food: bread, soup, and warm tea. Mila looked at the small plant in the glass box again. Can we take it with us? she asked. Bram smiled. Yes, it belongs on Earth. Suddenly, a small screen beeped. Kello rolled over and read the message. Alert. Authority patrol scheduled for Sector D3 tomorrow morning. That includes this unit. Bram nodded. They're closing in. We leave tomorrow. Mila felt nervous but also excited. She had never left the station before. The stars were calling. Before sleeping, Bram handed her a small necklace. It had a round stone with a green line running through it. What's this? She asked. Jade. He said, it's a gift. From Earth. My wife gave it to me when we got married. She said it reminded her of forests. Mila held it close. Thank you. That night, as she slept on a soft couch, she dreamed again. This time, the dream was clearer. She stood in a wide green field. The sky was blue. A tree stood alone in the middle. A woman's voice whispered, You are the bridge. Bring them home. She woke up with a tear on her cheek. Early the next morning, before the artificial sun rose, Bram, Mila, and Kello moved quietly through the hidden passages. They reached the docking bay without being seen. The ship was ready. Mila took one last look at the station she had always known. The cold metal walls, the blinking lights, the endless sound of machines. Then she stepped onto the ship. Are you ready? Bram asked. She nodded. Let's go home. The doors closed. The engines hummed. And with a soft rumble, the homeward lifted off, sliding out of the hidden exit into the stars. Behind them, Europa Station continued its endless work, unaware that something amazing had just begun. Far ahead, across silent space, Earth was waiting. The ship homeward moved silently through the stars. It had been many years since it last flew, but now it glided smoothly through deep space. Inside the ship, Mr. Bram sat in the pilot's seat, checking controls and reading data. Kello, the silver droid, watched the fuel and oxygen levels. Mila sat near the large front window, staring out at the stars with wide eyes. She had never seen space like this before. On Europa Station, she could only see the stars through thick glass or small screens. Now they surrounded her like diamonds floating in black velvet. It's beautiful, she whispered. Bram smiled. Yes, it is. And it gets even better the farther we go. They had been flying for almost 2 days. Bram used the secret star map that Mila unlocked to guide their path. The ship passed through quiet regions, no stations, no ships, no signals. Only darkness and starlight. Each day, Mila felt something grow inside her, a strange warmth. A quiet voice, not with words, but with feelings. It felt like home. Do you hear anything? She asked Bram one evening. Bram looked at her curious. What do you mean? Like a whisper. Not scary, gentle, like something far away is talking to me. He didn't laugh or question her. He just nodded slowly. I used to feel that when I was your age, before I left Earth. What do you think it is? Mila asked. I think Earth remembers, Bram said, and maybe it's calling us back. Later that day, Mila sat alone in the quiet room at the back of the ship. The little green plant from Bram's home now stood in a glass dome on a small table beside her. It was the only living thing on board. Other than them. Mila placed her hand on the glass. I don't know who I am, she whispered, but I feel like I'm not alone, like I'm part of something bigger. Suddenly, her necklace, Bram's jade gift, glowed faintly. Just for a moment, she looked down at it, surprised. Kello? She called. The droid rolled into the room. Yes, Mila? This necklace, it just glowed. Kello scanned it. Strange. There is no battery or power source. It must have reacted to something. Perhaps the direction we're traveling. Mila looked outside the window. A soft light blinked in the distance. One single star, brighter than the rest. Is that where we're going? Kello paused. That is the final point in the map. The place marked as origin. Mila felt her heart beat faster. We're close, aren't we? Yes, Kello replied. Less than 1 day. In the control room, Bram was checking old logs from the ship's memory. He came across a file left by Arin, his late wife. It was a voice message. He hadn't heard it in years. He pressed play. Her voice filled the room, soft and clear. If someone is listening to this, then maybe Earth is still alive. Maybe it forgave us. We left it because we had no choice. But Earth was more than just a place. It was our heart. If we ever return, go gently and listen. Bram wiped a tear from his eye. He looked out at the stars and whispered, "We're coming, Aaron." The next morning, Mila woke up early. She felt the change in the air, even in the ship. Something was different. She ran to the front window, and there it was, a planet. Blue, green, white. Spinning. Slowly in the dark, like a jewel. "Bram!" She shouted. He rushed in and froze when he saw it. His eyes filled with tears. It's Earth. It was more beautiful than he remembered. The clouds swirled gently. The oceans were deep and clean. Forests covered the land like a green blanket. "It's alive," Mila whispered. Kelo confirmed. Atmospheres breathable. Temperature normal. Life signs detected. Planet is healthy. Bram couldn't believe it. All this time, they said it was dead. But Earth, it healed. As they entered orbit, the ship's systems picked up a signal. It wasn't a human signal. It was natural, like a soft wave of energy. Mila placed her hand on the wall. She closed her eyes. "I can hear it." "What does it say?" Bram asked quietly. Mila opened her eyes. "It says, 'Welcome home.'" They landed gently on a grassy field near a forest. Birds flew above. Trees moved softly in the wind. The air smelled fresh and clean. Bram stepped out of the ship and fell to his knees. He touched the soil with his hands. Then he leaned down and pressed his cheek to the ground. "I'm home," he said. Mila walked slowly. Her boots touched real grass for the first time in her life. She took off her shoes and felt the earth with her feet. The jade stone around her neck glowed again. The wind picked up, and she heard it clearly this time. A voice in the breeze, gentle and kind. "You are the bridge. You brought them back." She looked at Bram. "Earth is waiting. It wants us to return, but not as we were. We have to do better this time." Bram nodded. "Yes, we can learn. We can respect it." That night, they made a small camp near the ship. Bram wrote a message to send to the space colonies. "To all humans, Earth is alive. It forgives us. It welcomes us. We must go back, not to take, but to care." Mila is proof. She felt the call. She answered, "And now, Earth is calling you too." He sent the message through old channels, hoping someone would hear it. As the stars appeared in the sky above, Mila looked up. She smiled. "Do you think they'll come?" she asked. "Maybe not right away," Bram said. "But one day they will. You've shown them the way." And somewhere in the forest, the trees swayed gently. The planet listened. 2 weeks before the homeward landed on Earth, Europa Station was quiet, but tense. The station authority had noticed something strange. An old ship registered under Mr. Bram had disappeared. Not only that, but a system scan showed that someone had accessed forbidden Earth data. Inside the main control room of the authority, a tall officer named Chief Lauren stood over a large screen. He narrowed his eyes at the blinking red light. "Track that signal," he ordered. "That ship didn't just leave. It went somewhere important." His assistant looked nervous. "Sir, that ship had no exit clearance, but the logs show it. Launched from Dock D3, Sector 7-1 of the old hangars." "Then someone helped them," Chief Lauren growled. "Find out who." Now, he didn't know yet that the ship was heading for the most forbidden destination of all Earth. Back in the secret hangar before launch, Mila had packed her small bag. She didn't have many things, just her necklace, a worn-out notebook, and a small photo of her mother. She didn't even know where the photo came from. Only that it was the only memory she had. Mr. Bram entered the room, holding a quiet smile. "Everything ready?" Mila nodded. "I think so. I'm just scared." "It's okay to be scared," Bram said. "Even I'm scared. But sometimes fear means we're about to do something important." Kello rolled in. "Engines ready. Navigation. Systems active. We must leave within the next 20 minutes if we want to avoid patrols." They made their way down the narrow corridor to the docking bay. Bram walked slower than usual. His legs were not as strong as they used to be, but his spirit was alive with purpose. As they approached the homeward, a warning alarm suddenly rang across the hallway. "Unauthorized movement detected in Sector 7, a voice called through the speaker. Bram turned to Kello. "They found us faster than expected." Kello replied, "I will seal the doors behind us. That will buy us a few extra minutes." On the other side of the station, 2 patrol bots rolled down the halls, scanning for movement. Their sensors blinked rapidly. "Energy signature detected. Unknown life form present. Location: Hangar D3. Chief Loran received the message and smiled coldly. "Now we'll find out what the old man is hiding." Back in the hangar, the ship powered on. The lights blinked, the engines hummed, and the rear doors opened slowly. Mila sat in the co-pilot seat while Bram took the main controls. "This may be a rough start," he warned, "but the ship is strong." "She hold." Kilo's voice echoed from the back. "Bots are approaching. 4 minutes away." "Hang on," Bram said. He flipped a few switches, and the ship began to rise. Dust lifted from the floor as the engine warmed. Suddenly, the outer door to the hangar burst open. 2 patrol bots rolled in, flashing red lights and repeating, "Halt! Unauthorized launch. Detected. Power down the vessel immediately." Mila's heart raced. "They're here." "Don't worry," Bram said calmly. "They can't stop us now." He pressed a green button, and the homeward shot forward. The ship's nose tilted upward as it passed through the hangar gate. The bots fired a magnetic net, but it missed by inches. The ship sped up, moving through the tunnel like a shooting star. Inside the authority tower, Chief Loran watched the screen as the old ship escaped into space. "Track them!" he shouted. "We lost the signal," the assistant replied. "They went through the blind zone." Loran slammed his fist on the table. "That girl was with him. She's the key. I don't know how, but I'll find them." Inside the ship, Mila was breathing fast. She looked at Bram, who kept his hand steady on the wheel. "Are we safe?" she asked. "For now," he said. "But we're not out of danger yet. We need to jump into deep space before they trace us." Kello rolled into the control room. Map loaded, coordinates locked. "Ready for jump." Bram nodded. "Mila, would you like to do the honors?" She looked at the screen, then at the blinking button marked Jump. Her fingers hovered for a second. Then she pressed it. The stars stretched into long lines. The ship shook slightly. Then everything went still. They had jumped. Mila leaned back in her seat, her eyes wide. "We did it," Bram smiled. "Yes, we're on our way now." Later that night, as the ship moved quietly through space, Mila sat by the small plant in its glass dome. "It's strange," she said. "All my life I lived on that station. I thought it was the only world I would ever know. Now I feel like everything is different." Bram sat beside her. "Because you followed the call. Not everyone does." "Do you think they'll follow us?" "They'll try," he said. "But even if they do, Earth will protect us." Mila placed her hand on the glass dome. The plant's leaves glowed faintly, as if responding to her touch. "I don't understand it," she whispered, "but it feels like the planet knows me. Like I belong there." "You do," Bram said. "You're not just going to Earth, Mila. You're going home." On Europa Station, Chief Loran stood in the shadows of his office, watching the empty stars on the screen. He didn't know where they went. He didn't know how they escaped. But He did know one thing. They had gone to find something powerful, something real, something lost. And one day, the rest of humanity might follow. The homeward floated gently through space, moving toward the forgotten world that once held all of humanity's dreams. Outside the window, the stars were bright, but in the center of the sky was something even more beautiful, a planet, shining. Like a blue marble in the Black Sea, Mila stared at it, her face pressed to the glass. "It's real," she whispered. "It's not dead, it's alive." Mr. Bram stood behind her. His old eyes were full of emotion. For him, this was not just a destination. It was a memory, a promise, and a second chance. "It's Earth," he said softly, "the place where it all began." Kello rolled into the control room. Scanners show full life support. Oxygen, water, trees, animals. All systems in balance. "Earth has recovered." Mila turned to Bram. "They said it was destroyed. But it looks perfect." "It healed while we were gone," Bram replied. "We gave up on it. But it never gave up on us." As the ship entered the atmosphere, the view changed. Blue oceans stretched out across the globe, wrapped with white clouds. Mountains, forests, and rivers came into view. The air became warmer, softer. Mila could almost smell the green from inside the ship. They landed in a wide field surrounded by tall trees. The grass was long and wild. Birds flew above them, and the wind made the leaves whisper. When the door of the homeward opened, Bram stepped out first. He took a deep breath and knelt down, pressing his hands to the earth. He didn't say anything for a moment. He just let the silence speak. Then he looked up at Mila. "Come, feel it." Mila walked barefoot onto the grass. The cool earth touched her feet. She closed her eyes. A breeze brushed her hair. She felt peace-deep, old, and powerful. A feeling that nothing in the station had ever given her. She whispered, "I think the planet knows we're here." Bram smiled. "I believe it does." They spent the day exploring the area. There were no signs of cities or machines. Nature had taken back everything. Trees stood tall where buildings once were. Vines wrapped around broken roads. Streams ran freely through green valleys. Mila found a small pond and touched the water. It was clean and cool. She could see tiny fish swimming inside. "I wish the others could see this," she said. "They will," Bram replied. One day, they returned to the ship as the sky turned orange and gold. The sun was setting behind the hills, and the stars slowly returned. That night, they built a small fire outside the ship. Bram sat with a blanket over his shoulders. Mila sat beside him, holding the jade necklace he had given her. She looked at him and asked, "Why did your wife hide the map?" "Because she believed Earth would be needed again," Bram answered. "She said the future would belong to someone who could feel the world, not just see it. She believed someone would come who still had the connection." Mila looked down. "Do you think that's me?" "I do," he said gently. "You heard Earth before we even arrived. That means something." Kello beeped softly beside them. "Message transmission complete." Bram nodded. "I sent a signal to the colonies. A message saying Earth is alive. That it's waiting. If they believe us, they may send ships." "Do you think they will?" Mila asked. "Some will," Bram said. "Maybe not all, but the ones who still carry hope in their hearts. They'll come." The next morning, Mila woke up early. She stepped outside and saw something that took her breath away. The little fern plant they had brought from the station, now planted in the soil near the ship, was glowing faintly. She knelt beside it and placed her hand near the leaves. The glow grew brighter. Birds gathered in the nearby trees. The wind picked up, then fell quiet. Mila closed her eyes and listened. A soft voice echoed in her mind, not loud, not clear, but full of feeling. "You came back. You listened. You care." Tears filled her eyes. She whispered, I'm sorry it took us so long." Bram came out and saw her. He didn't say anything. He simply watched. Mila stood up. "It's not just a planet, Bram. It's alive in a way. Machines will never understand." He nodded. "That's why we must protect it this time." Later that day, they explored further and found a high hill. From the top, they could see far into the distance endless forests, rivers, and sky. Mila spread her arms wide. "I want to build something here. A place where people can live with nature, not against it." "You'll build more than that," Bram said. "You'll build a future." They sat there until the stars came out again. Then Mila asked, "What if the people who come want to take more than they give?" Bram looked at her seriously. "Then you must teach them. Show them the right way." "I'm just a girl," she said softly. He smiled. "You were a girl who couldn't afford a slice of pizza. Now you're the first human to walk on Earth in over 60 years. That's not just a girl. That's someone strong." Mila looked at the sky. She saw a blinking light, then another. Ships were coming. The signal had reached them. "They're on their way," she said. "Yes," Bram replied. "Now it's your turn to guide them." In that moment, Mila knew that her life had changed forever. She was no longer just a poor girl from the lower decks. She was part of something greater, something living, breathing, and full of hope. And somewhere beneath her feet, the earth listened and smiled. The stars above Earth twinkled quietly, as if watching something important unfold. The ship homeward stood gently in the open field, its silver body shining under the morning sun. The trees whispered in the breeze, and the birds sang their early song. Mila stood barefoot on the soft ground, her eyes on the sky. The blinking lights she had seen the night before were now growing brighter. Ships, 3 of them, were coming from space. They had received the message. "They believed us," Mila whispered. Bram, leaning on his cane, walked up beside her. "Some still remember what it means to be human." As the ships drew closer, Mila felt her heart beat faster. Not from fear, but from hope. The world she had only seen in dreams was now real. And soon, others would see it too. The first ship landed a short distance away. Its surface was sleek and new. The doors opened, and a small group of people stepped out. There were scientists, workers, and families. They looked around in silence, amazed by what they saw. A woman stepped forward, her uniform clean and her eyes full of questions. "Are you the ones who sent the signal?" Bram nodded. "Yes, Earth is alive, and she's ready for us, if we're ready for her." Mila stepped forward too, her voice calm but strong. "We didn't come to take, we came to listen. If you're here to do the same, you're welcome." The woman looked at the green hills, the clear sky, and the small glowing fern growing beside the ship. "This place, it's more than we hoped for." "Yes," Bram said. "But it's not ours. It belongs to the future." Over the next few days, more ships arrived. One by one, people came down. They brought tools, food, and shelter materials. But this time, no one rushed to build big cities or machines. They listened first. They watched the wind, tasted the water, and walked quietly through the forests. Mila became a voice of guidance. Though still young, everyone noticed how deeply she connected with the land. Birds often landed near her. The wind seemed to move where she walked. Children followed her, asking questions about the plants and the stars. One evening, a little boy named Timo asked, "Are you a leader?" Mila smiled. "I'm just a listener." "But you hear things no one else hears," he said. She knelt beside him. "Maybe, but that doesn't make me special. It just means I care." He nodded like he understood. Then he ran off to chase butterflies. Bram watched from a distance, sitting near the fire with Kello by his side. His body was slower now, but his eyes were bright with pride. "She's not the same girl who walked into that pizza shop," he said. "No, sir," Kello replied. "She is something new, a bridge between the past and the future. Bram smiled. Aaron was right. The earth did call someone. A small village began to grow, not with walls and wires, but with wooden homes, gardens, and paths made from stone and earth. People planted trees before they built shelters. They studied the animals and wrote down the old knowledge. Everything they did started with one rule: respect the planet. One morning, Mila climbed the hill again, where she could see the whole valley. She wore a simple white dress, and the jade stone around her neck glowed softly in the light. Bram joined her, leaning on his cane. "Do you ever miss the station?" she asked. "Sometimes," he said, "but only the silence. Everything else I found here again. I wonder if the others will come." "They will when they're ready." "Not everyone can feel the call. But when they do, they'll follow it, just like you did." Mila looked at the forest. "Do you think Earth forgave us?" Bram thought for a moment. "Maybe, or maybe it's giving us one more chance. And it's up to us not to waste it." She nodded. "Then I want to teach. Not just about plants or animals, but about kindness. About listening. You already are." Weeks passed. The new village was named Aaron's Light, in honor of Bram's wife, the woman who had saved the true map of Earth. People came to learn her story. They read her journals, heard her voice recordings, and planted flowers around her name carved in stone. Mila placed the glowing fern beside it. "She's the reason we're here," she said. Bram stood silently, then whispered, "Thank you, Aaron. You believed when no one else did." That night, under the stars, the community gathered for a small celebration. They lit candles, sang songs from old Earth, and shared stories. Children danced barefoot in the grass. Elders smiled. No one talked about war, money, or machines. They only talked about what it meant to be alive and to belong. Mila stood before them, holding a small seed in her hand. "This," she said, "is how we begin again. Not with fire, but with life. Not by ruling the world, but by walking with it." She knelt down and planted the seed in the soil. "Let this tree grow strong. Let it remind us of who we were and who we must become." Everyone clapped quietly, not to break the peace of the night. As the stars watched from above, Earth remained quiet but full of life. The planet had waited for its children to return, not as conquerors, but as caretakers. And now, led by a girl who once could not afford a slice of pizza, humanity had found its way back home, not through power, not through machines, but through listening, kindness, and hope.